Hello, hello. Welcome back to Aloha at home. People are starting to show up. My name is Jamie Tworkowski. I am the founder of To Write Love on Our Arms, coming to you on behalf of our team, which is spread out at home, mostly in Florida, but in a bunch of other states as well. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Really excited about today's episode. We have a really special guest, the one and only Kevin Lyman. Most people know him as the founder of the Vans Warped Tour, but he is working on something new that we are honored to be a part of, and that is the 320 Festival that's happening this weekend. It actually starts tomorrow. It is an amazing collision of music and mental health, great speakers, great artists. I'm excited to be on a panel on Saturday. So I'm personally excited to catch up with Kevin and for you to hear more about 320. And before we get to that, got a couple announcements for you. So we've been telling you about our Run For It 5K, which is one of our favorite events, one of the biggest events and campaigns that happens for us every single year. And that is getting close. It's going to be next Saturday, May 16th. You've probably heard me say that we had to cancel the physical gathering where we would run and walk together in Florida. But thankfully, the virtual race can still happen. And this is going to be by far the biggest, best Run For It 5K we've ever had. We are going to have over 3,500 participants. And that means folks will be running and walking, participating in all 50 states and countries around the world. So I remember a few weeks ago hearing a goal of maybe we could get 2,500 participants, and now we are looking at being over 3,500. So it's really exciting. Want to circle back to why we do these Instagram lives. For us, this is a chance to show up. Obviously, all of the events that we had scheduled have been canceled, have been postponed. We know this is a hard time for a lot of people. And so when we do these TWLOHA at home Instagram lives, for us, it's a chance to continue to show up, to hopefully create a safe place where you feel less alone, where you feel encouraged. And we love bringing on guests and talking about what prioritizing mental health and practicing self-care looks like in this time. So I'm excited to ask Kevin, about those things. You can learn more. Someone asked, how can we sign up? My sister beat me to it, which happens a lot. runforit5k.com. We are well over halfway. We're getting close. So I believe we're right around $65,000 raised on our way to a goal of $85,000. And we are also in the middle of a matching grant. And Lindsay from our team shared with me that we still have around $4,000 in matching money. So if you give $20 or you raise $20 today, that becomes $40. And so we are super excited about that. So again, also if you want to participate, there's still time. There's a pack that we sell so that you can run, walk, push a stroller wherever you are. And you can find that in our online store. You can also simply find it through our website, TWLOHA.com. That was my screen time notification, but I'm going to have to go a little over on screen time today. We are absolutely still selling TWLOHA merch. Ruthie is back in our warehouse shipping orders 5 days a week, and we are so grateful to her. So yeah, we are going strong. We are releasing new shirts. We have a black and white collection of 3 new designs that we've launched for this month of May, for Mental Health Awareness Month. So yeah, you can find a bunch of new stuff, including the 5K pack in our online store. If you guys have questions, the best way to do that is there's a question mark icon at the bottom of your screen. So if you have a question, especially for Kevin Lyman, but you could also ask one of me, of the organization, you can submit those questions through the question mark box at the bottom. That's the best way for me to see them. Hi, Lindsay. Someone asked if I'm speaking of Lindsay Blaze. I was not. I was speaking of Lindsay Kolsch, whose comment is right below yours. Hello to Jerry Lawson. So Run For It 5K, Saturday, May 16th. And we also just in general want to invite you to check out the website. We have a great landing page that we've put together. It's called Fear Won't Win. Everything from new podcast episodes, which we continue to release, special blog posts, coloring book pages. We've seen a lot of people downloading those, printing those out, and getting creative. And so we love seeing that. We just want to give tools and resources that can help all of us get through this time. And that also includes professional help. We want to connect people to whatever help you need. We want to remind you that help is still available in the form of counseling, in the form of treatment. We're grateful for something called telehealth, which simply means that you can still see a licensed counselor in this time. You can still connect with a mental health professional. It probably won't be face-to-face in their office, but it can be face-to-face through your phone or through your computer. So please, if you need help, it's still possible to get help. You can find more information through our Find Help tool. Top right corner of our website, you enter your zip code and you can find local mental health resources. And with that, I am going to bring on Kevin Lyman. Thank you. I see some questions showing up. Bringing on Kevin. Hey, man.
Hey, Jamie, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely.
It's always nice to see you. And I'm sitting out in my back 99-degree yard just to feel like we were like at home in a hot parking lot. Usually.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue. The last place I saw you was Palm Beach, the cross-country tour grand finale.
Yeah.
And obviously we're going to talk about 320. I want to talk about sort of this moment in time, but I also just wonder what life has looked like since I saw you in Palm Beach.
Well, it's been, last year we did those couple shows and, became a professor at USC and, teaching 6 classes there.
Yeah.
Really enjoying it, kind of settling into that life and, just trying to, I was getting my feet under me as a professor. And, one of the things we were able to do, and we'll talk about at 320, was blend that into the learning experience. So we had 20 students work on this project with me that are getting some real life experiences in so many ways this year. It was supposed to be a big, large festival out here in LA this weekend that we had to pivot pretty quickly to make it work. And I think it's going to work out okay.
Yeah. So I promise we'll get to that. Where did that come from, that idea of getting into teaching? Obviously that's such a major transition. And then what was that like? What maybe surprised you about it?
Well, I think it was, I think Warped Tour and a lot of the music festivals I put on had like a learning element to them. It was a lot of people's first jobs in the business. So they were learning how to tour.
Yeah.
Nonprofits were learning how to be a national nonprofit, going all the way to Think About You back there, the first time we met. And
totally.
Then you became a national nonprofit, to the brands, companies that grew out there like Hurley and Volcom. So, there was always a learning element to Warped Tour and my other festivals. And I was approached by Mike Kaminsky, who's a manager of like Neck Deep and bands, and Neck Deep. And he's been around and he's an adjunct over there. And a girl named Vivian Wang, who was an intern of mine, and they were all doing adjunct professorship over there. And they said, we don't think he'll do it, but maybe you should approach him. And they approached me, and the timing seemed right. I'm really glad I had it, because you have that shock of coming off of such an intense experience for 25 years producing that festival. And I really kind of flowed in, and it kept me busy. Yeah, I have to keep busy. It's always been my thing. And I went right into it, and it was weird because the second week of teaching, I almost died in the middle of class. I had a knee replacement out, warped. I had beat my body up, and I was in the middle of class, and I went into sepsis in the middle of class. And it was really weird that, that I was in that setting where people were a little more responsible than maybe if we were on the road.
Sure.
Because on the road 2 weeks earlier, I would have just gone in the back of the tour bus.
Yeah.
So it's all worked out really well. I'm truly, the transition hasn't been as hard. Probably my ability to grade people is probably my least skill in doing some of the paperwork. You know, all of a sudden, it's the first time I've had a job in my entire life. I look at it. It's actually, I have to do, there's certain things I have to do in life. And that
Yeah.
was the biggest transition.
And then I know mental health has become more and more of a priority for you, even just kind of from an outside perspective. I know the opioid crisis is really important to you. And so I wonder, what was the journey that led to 320?
Well, I mean, I guess you would have to go all the way back. You know, I've been in the music business for 40 years. I've lost so many friends to suicide, to addiction, and through those years, I kept picking up more and more. Like, wow, we need to be able to help people within our community. And in 1995 Warped Tour, when Brad Knoll from Sublime was out with me, and it just really sparked in my head that, you know, we would talk about raising our children together. They were only 16 days apart, and you know Sierra well, and she was born the first year of Warped Tour, and then after that tour, he didn't get a chance to see his son grow up. He overdosed a few months later, and I said, I need to get more tools around me to be able to deal with things like that. So, you know, I would learn. I'm self-taught in many ways. I would learn from other people. I learned stuff from you. I've learned, you know, just bring people in. You know, you were amazing to me, because when I didn't understand, you know, and then we met, and there was audience members that were going through a lot, and you came in and helped fill that. You know, I go to people who are and gave them a platform to help me, and that kept going through the years. You know, we were always seemed to be addressing situations and things out on tour, and that turned into groups like Hope for the Day with Johnny,
Totally.
a voice for the innocent with Jamie. So, you know, I think a lot with Warp. Now that I look back at it, maybe we should have talked a bit more about all the nonprofits we worked with. It just naturally happened. It wasn't like we didn't run around with a flag saying, "Hey, we're trying to do good in the world." But maybe we should have talked about it a bit more. But for our community, I think we served it well. It was learning. It wasn't perfect. But that kind of flipped over into this next phase of life, you know?
Yeah.
And you throw professor in front of your name, and they take you serious sometimes in certain circles.
Well, and USC is legit. I mean, that's amazing. I have to confess, I'm someone who's thankful to have my yard cut, actually by some guys that lost their music gigs, but they happen to show up right now. So that's some of the background noise.
Oh, that's cool. You know, it's only right. We should have forklifts or trucks driving, or
Yeah.
they might start jackhammering next door at any moment. They're doing some remodeling going on during
Oh,
this time.
nice. I wonder, before we get to 320 specifically, when I know it probably relates, but what have the last couple months looked like for you and for your family?
Well, you know, I started picking up on this. I had another surgery at the end of February, around the 27th. So I was really kind of paying a lot of attention to the world, you know, and Sierra was coming home. She's now working for Sixth Man Cruises, and she's been furloughed now because there's no rock and roll cruises. But she was working, and she came home. She had just finished her spring cruise season, and she came home, and I said, "Hey, why don't you hang out for another week? Why don't you, you know, something's going on out there." And as a father, you know, and it's weird, so because everyone knows from working with my kids on the road that, you know, I am a dad, you know, and I'm going to have worries about them all the time. I said, you know, why don't you stay here for a week? And that next week, things really started hitting, because we had our kickoff event for 320 on the 9th. And, you know, by that's the week when we were getting no leadership from our government. And we were all trying to figure it out ourselves. I mean, you were probably sitting there talking about your run at that point, going, do we have our run? What do we do? You know, do we have a concert? Do we not have a concert? So I got Sierra to stay, and she still stays. She's staying with us. So the whole family's been here. And, you know, Sabrine came home from USC. She's been living down at school, and she's been now she's doing her finals. So, you know, to have the family in one place, because if not, you'd be constantly worried about them. And I know so many people are worried about their, you know, some children haven't gotten home from their schools or living stuck in Europe. So for me, it was, I don't know, it slowed it down a little bit, Jamie, to be honest. It, you know, for the first few weeks, it was everyone I know, we run at such a high pace. Our lives are just just moving. And it slowed it down for a second. So the first few weeks were probably for a lot of people, their first time for some real self-care and reflection. You know, I invested in my garden. that I throw a bunch of vegetables out there knowing that in June I'm going to jump in a tour bus and they're going to all dry up during the summer.
Yeah.
A couple tomatoes and cucumbers before I leave. But now I've really been kind of nurturing it and go out there for an hour and a half every day in the morning, at sunrise. I'm used to getting up at sunrise and putting in a little work out there. And it's just kind of, but now we're all sitting here. Now, you're everyone, I think that restlessness is coming, as we're all seeing in so many ways. And this is when we really have to look out for each other and be careful.
Sure. So now the main event, maybe if you could talk a little bit about the 320 Festival and then just how it came to be.
Well, 320 is actually Chester Bennington's birthday. Mm. So this was last year, late April, early May. So over a year ago, Linda Bennington, Chester's wife, had reached out through a couple people and said, "I'd really like to talk to you." And I went and met her, and she was like, "Chester really liked what you did. Lincoln Park did that surprise show at Warped Tour once," and she said, he walked around that day and saw all the nonprofits and saw all the things in the community and really felt that their career had gone to a level that it would be really hard for them to come back and do what they did, but they had a great time. And she says, "Would you put on a tour for me for mental health?" And I looked at her and I go, I need to stop. Like, it's been 28 years with Warped and Lollapalooza that I've been on the road. So I wanted to be able to, I said, but I know it's so important, I know this is so important. And in a past me would have been, let's go do a tour. Yeah. And then I'd have to come home and explain to my wife that, next summer I'm going on the road or something. And that wasn't going to happen.
Sure.
And I said, let me think about it. And I went to some friends in LA. And then I started thinking about this education world I'm in, that if I'm going to make it fulfill these students, I'm going to work really hard to give them opportunities. I said, maybe I can blend an educational opportunity into this opportunity with Linda to create a festival for mental health awareness. And 25 students wrote mission statements to be involved in the class. I accepted 20 of them. Yeah. And that became the 320 crew. And we worked all last semester, and about 15 of them were able to continue since this event was going on. And it's been a great experience with them. I think they've learned a lot. It was pretty important because on the USC campus, in the first semester, we lost 9 students to suicide and overdoses. Yeah. So there was this weird error going around just in school. But they had this group of 20 that were kind of focused, like, oh, wow, we've got to make this is so important.
Yeah, sure.
And then for me, it was all with resources, like you guys being involved. There's a lot of resources out there, and sometimes we can't find them. Mm-hmm. So bringing them to one place was important. Like Warped Tour was bringing the music community together and all the nonprofits. This was bringing all of you guys to one place to show that there's people that can help.
Yeah. So for somebody who doesn't know what's coming up this weekend, could you tell them a little bit about what's about to happen?
Yeah, well, it was supposed to be this whole day down at LA Live, typical Kevin Lyman style. There'd be like 9 things going on at once, and you'd make your choice whether you're going to the film festival, the concerts, panels, speakers, booths. Sure. But when March 9th, we had a kickoff at USC that was very successful. About 200,000 people watching on Facebook. I had no idea. And then all of a sudden, the rug got pulled out of under all of us. My initial thing was, well, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this. And then I'm like, no way, we can do this. Yeah. We can put it online, not knowing how I'm going to do it, but we're going to put it online. Got Kat and Kate on it, to start doing research. I started making calls, and it's come together. So it's now turned into 21 hours of programming. I think there's 100 speakers, panelists, mental health professionals, nonprofits on panels. We've got over 40 musical acts. We've got surprise people coming in with messages of hope and inspiration. It's turned 21 out. Actually, it's almost 23 hours of program because we had to add on Saturday night. We've added the post concert. Yeah. Then artists started coming in. We've got a really diverse lineup from everyone from Greg from the Bouncing Souls and Shantae with Playdate to Chris Martin. And then you throw in Elohim, you throw in so many people in between there. And people are emailing today going, how do I get involved? And I go, it's not like Warped Tour where I can throw up another stage and or add another set to the thing. we've kind of wrapped it up. We're working with Connect TV. You can watch it free on YouTube and Facebook. You can watch it on Roku or Apple TV. And you know what? It's really cool because right now all the people are kind of stepping up, whether it's Live Nation and AEG and Danny Wimmer Presents. Like, I'm just sending the messaging out and they're sending it out to their mailing list.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll see. It's a lot of things are going online right now. And, you know, and I think maybe, you know, people are going, wow, you may reach more people. And I think we're possibly going to reach many more people that we're taking it out. People can view it everywhere. So
I got 2 questions. The first one was, how in the world did you get Chris Martin from Coldplay?
Well, you know, it's Talinda. He was a fan and a friend of Lincoln Park. So Mike Shinoda stepped up and they went down that road and I was going down my normal road and the students were reaching out to people. It was just like, I think that's why it came out to be so collective. Because Kate put together a Spotify playlist the other day and I just put it on and it was really funny because it is all over the place. Yeah.
But that's kind of always been your style and even the Warped Tour style, right? Just some of the surprising blends, whether it was hip hop or just, I feel like people are surprised when they see some of the huge names that had a place on Warped Tour.
Yeah. Warped Tour was a very eclectic lineup and, you know, I'm really glad I was able to do that. And, you know, now I'm kind of looking at this whole new world that, you know, it's going to be a while before we, you know, have big festivals. It's going to take time, but maybe we can create things like 320, you know, and 320 on climate change or, you know, different things like that. And so I'm kind of, you know, trying to build a model that we could blend this in till that eventual point where we can maybe have a United being my foundation.
Yeah.
And maybe we expand this out and one day I can go out and produce a big festivals again, because you want to go out on your own terms, Jamie. And I think I had it, but then all of a sudden when someone says you can't do something again, the itch is right there because, you know, like I said, it'd be awesome to be talking to you in a hot parking lot somewhere, saying hi to all the kids and talking to them and watching the joy of live music that so many people look for.
I know everyone can relate to working for a while on something. Everyone can relate to tomorrow's a big day. And I feel like this relates to mental health and self-care. Like, how do you feel today knowing tomorrow is the beginning of this thing? Is it anxiety? Is it loose ends? What do you feel today?
Well, I know, you know, Kat is really into it right now. She's into it and Kate's into it. But for me, it's kind of weird because I'm not the technology person. We put that over to Kent at Connect. I've made as many calls as I can. I've gotten as many people involved. I just have to sit there and kind of like do my intros and do my things like that and just be at the beck and call whenever I know exactly when I need to be on and be ready to go. And I don't know, you know, this is the weirdest one because I can't fix anything.
Yeah. Does it remind you of like the night before you would leave for Warped Tour or that kind of thing?
Oh, a little bit, but with Warped Tour, I always felt like I was in control. I've been doing it for so long. I knew exactly how we were going to do everything, and I knew exactly what I needed to fix and how to get it here. This one, if things start going wrong, I don't know. I won't be able to help, unfortunately. Yeah. So feeling a little helpless is also good. If you release yourself to that helplessness, the anxiety goes away.
Yeah. Hey, are you cool to take a couple questions from folks watching?
Absolutely.
So, hey, I want to remind you guys, you can submit a question. There's a little question mark icon at the bottom of your screen. We've already got a couple. Kevin, I want to ask you, because when people ask me about Warped Tour's place in our history, I just love to rave about how inviting and welcoming and generous you have been, not only to us, but to so many nonprofits, whether they were small and regional and could only do a couple of dates or folks like us that ended up doing the whole thing. I just wonder, where did that come from? Because you easily could have had your hands full with a music festival that only focused on music. Why the desire to bring in people that were doing these other things and meeting needs?
Well, it's always been part of my DNA. I think where I grew up kind of too. It was a kind of a semi-hippie town out in Claremont, California. and they were always doing benefit shows or helping the community and things. And I just started jumping in there, and it goes back to our punk rock. So it was like hippies, and then I kind of drifted into punk rock. And I always like to say the only difference between punkers and hippies was patchouli and safety pens, you know? We all felt that the world, there was things that needed to be fixed.
Yeah.
And we weren't going to sit on the sidelines and let other people fix them. And that's been my biggest frustration right now with some of this COVID and watching how things are being done, that I know there's a lot of us that could have probably jumped in, and with the tools, we would have been in the middle of this to fix this, you know. There wouldn't have been warehouses of supplies. There would have been trucks moving and people making decisions and watching. And that's been the hardest part in my life right now is maybe watching people that don't have the interest of the people. They don't have the interest of the everyday person on their minds. And that's been that wears me down every day. You know, and to be honest, when you talk about mental health, I'm looking at this going, you know, we need to be pulling together. And that's, you know, where I look at my foundation, Unite the United. We are the United States. We're not the United divided. And right now it feels like we're almost like 50 states competing instead of together. And Warped was that we were a community that pulled together every day. Yeah. You know, totally. If your guy dropped his tent, there was 3 people to help him. If I needed some help and it was raining, there was 3 people grabbing the other end of the tarp to cover up whatever it was. And someone asked me, what do you miss about Warped Tour? I go, everyone was important. Every little bit to that tour, whether you were putting up the smallest 10 by 10 tent to the production managers. Yeah. Look, everyone cooperating each and every day to move that city. Yeah. You know, it's fun. I don't know that I ever shared this with you, but my sister Emily did about, I think, 8 summers for us on Warped. And going into it, I never would have guessed, like, it wasn't really her scene musically. There were bands she liked, but she just found such a community. I mean, some of her best friends to this day, relationships, like, it changed her life. And the thing she raves about is just the people and the way they cared for each other. And so it was really beautiful, even for me as a big brother, to see that. Yeah, it's exactly how my daughters, their friends are Warped Tour people. You know, who's the first people that had Zoom gatherings and groups during this crisis to get each other through it. And now sharing, you know, they're all out of work. Yeah. So many of them are out of work, that they're all sharing ideas on how to get creative and get through this. Yeah. And that's who your family was. You have your family and your road family. And especially when you're young and you're developing those lifelong friends, there was no better place than that Warped Tour parking lot, because, you know, you would have those barbecues at night. You would have those dance parties. You would work 13-hour days and just be sweaty. And I'd watch them. And, you know, as I was getting older, I kind of backed into the drift a little scenes because I needed to get a little rest every night. Yeah. And I'd watch them and they could turn, you know, we'd turn a parking lot in an hour after a show into the best backyard party that a committee at a high school of parents would have taken 8 months to put together. Yeah, yeah. But it is good as the Warped Tour parties, you know? Yeah, no, that's so true. I wonder, and I know you get this a lot. I'm sure it relates to you going into teaching at USC, but for a young person who's watching and they're curious about a career in the music industry, they're curious about creating events or tours, I wonder, and I know this is maybe really general, but just what advice you might have because I think a lot of people look at you and they go, wow, he did it, he's lived this dream, but how do I start? How could I ever even get my foot in the door? Well, I say get involved in anything that takes organization. Get involved in your community. There's going to be community events. There's going to be, you know, if you're in school, you know, don't be picky. You know, some people, it's funny when I hear they're like, well, that's not the music I like, or that's not, I go, just get engaged. The thing about Warped Tour people, you know, we were always, you know, we worked hard, you didn't complain, and you have a good attitude. Those are the 3 things that you really want to go into this business with. And I would work everything. When punk rocker was like, all my hardcore friends are like, can't believe you're working a Poison or a Motley Crue show. And I go, you know what? It's a show. I'm going to go learn something from that world. I'm not going to necessarily like the music, but you know what? I've learned from it. And then I would go work a Latin show, and you would learn a lot that we are all very similar through the love of music. and then you bring it all together. So that's why I've been able to, I think, the eclectic side of what I've done, from doing Latin tours to country tours, just that early working, and just work all the time. It was just being in the mix all the time.
Yeah. Who were some of the people that you looked up to, who maybe played a part as mentors to you?
Well, some people might know Bill Graham, but Bill Graham out in the West Coast, he was a promoter, that legendary promoter. I would recommend anyone in the business to read about Bill Graham. I also look up to Bill Silva. He's still around. He's a manager. He's been a promoter and everything, but he taught me a lot about dealing with people and treating them right. And then early on, Gary Tovar, the founder of Golden Voice, he taught us, and Paul Tollett, who runs Coachella, we both worked for him. And he taught us about value, like the fans, give them something extra, always do something special for the people. So those three probably are my strongest mentors in the business.
Yeah.
You know? And then you look at some of these things now, look at, recent ones, the Barack Obama and, the Kennedy for me was a big one, watching how they just treated it. It felt like, you miss those times of those people that could speak literally, literacy and watching what's going on here. It's an absolute embarrassment sometimes what's going on. You watch our government right now.
Sure. I got one more question, then we'll get to a bunch of questions from other folks. But I've always noticed how you choose to be accessible, whether it's in person. I've seen you the night before a Warp date and you're dealing with a customer service issue with a mom at 10 o'clock at night on Twitter. Like, why do you choose to be so available? And I feel like we have different ideas of maybe what a boss looks like or what a CEO looks like. And I've just seen you make yourself available in ways that are really surprising and so different from the stereotype. And I wonder where that comes from.
Oh gosh, I think that just came from early on working a lot and being in, when I was always running events in college and stuff, I was the guy out front just talking to people. And I believe, and trust me, sometimes it wasn't to my benefit, Jamie, as you can see, sometimes the attacks sometimes I would take sometimes on social media. And a lot of things that I never created, but you were in there. I believed in our community, and I was willing to face them. It's just always been my thing, like treat people with equally. And I think that my students are seeing that. They're finding that being accessible to them and talking to them as adults, and just respecting people. For me, and like it's hard when you're talking to a mom, and she's talking to the guy that owns the tour, and you can listen to them and speak. At least they say, gosh, someone paid attention to me. And really many times when people, if you pay attention to someone, that's all they want.
Sure.
I'll never flash back to a story, but in Pomona one time, this mother was so mad because the parent tent was so crowded, and they asked people to only sit 30 minutes in the tent. And the chair, and it became this whole thing, and no one knew how to deal with this woman. And I went and talked to her, and I said, sometimes you just have to be mad, and don't be mad at them, be mad at the top.
Yeah.
And she looked at me for like 4 minutes and grabbed her chair and walked away. It was just everyone was like, wow, how did you handle that? I said, she just wanted to be mad.
So, oh man. All right. Well, I'm curious to see what questions people have. Let's see. Well, here's one. This is a good one. What's next for Kevin Lyman?
Well, it's interesting, Jamie. That's, we've got 320 this weekend. I have to submit my grades, and Fran's going, what are you going to do now? Like, you've redone the whole yard. You've working in the garden. You've got a couple more closets to clean out. Well, I'm starting to look at this long-term project, with the Unite the United brand, my foundation.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll be able to start some of that over the summer. I've been looking at maybe starting a podcast. So I'm looking at looking for a great young co-host that has an activist mind to maybe co-host that. And then highlight people like yourselves on it, and people that are doing good in the world, and artists that are doing good in the world. We need something highlight. There's a lot of good going on in the world, but you turn on the news, and they always just highlight on the bad all the time. You know, you see a little bit twist now, like the local news are trying to highlight people that are doing good. I think I've seen more people trying to highlight doing good right now than in the last 10 years, but
Yeah.
you know, we need a little bit of that. But why can't we have a focus? So the Unite the United project, I'm putting some fine tuning touches to show someone what
Yeah.
I'm thinking about doing, and then maybe that'll lead to some of these Unite the United different projects focusing on issues and things, and they may be online at first, and then maybe if we eventually it'll come down to us all getting a vaccine.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be that moment that we can create the Unite the United Festival. And, you know, I don't think it's going to happen until we do have a vaccine, because I cannot see my crowd social distancing. Can you imagine the Warped Tour crowd social distancing? I had an interview today, and someone was like, so could you, I go, it's not even a concept in my mind that people that's what Warped was. It was such an emotional run. There's no way I'm going to make them stand 6 feet apart.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah, it was about that thing. So maybe we're going to be able to, you know, we'll adjust, because I was saying that we're probably all going to get a separate driver's license, you know, and that we have the vaccine. We're talking about, we're hoping it's not a chip on our head, but but they're going to scan you, and you're going to have a light, and then we'll be able to get back to these settings. And you know, the Warped brand is retired, though. It's the actual Warped brand, but doesn't mean I can't start something, but maybe focus. And my philosophy has always been music, education, and philanthropy. That's what it has been my whole life. We're just moving philanthropy and education up front right now, and music will always be there to support it. And that's what was cool about 320. The mental health side and the nonprofit side is taking the lead, and then we had music come in and support it, versus booking a bunch of bands and then putting tents in there and hoping the kids stop by and say hi.
Sure. No, that makes so much sense. Let's see, we got some other ones. Oh, this is a good one. Do you think those wanting to get into the music business need to move to bigger cities, or can we get started in smaller towns?
You can get started in smaller towns, and I think the music business is going to be moving to smaller towns. I truly think that the era, you know, if you really study music right now, the big companies, the big agencies, the big labels, you know, are doing well right now. A lot of labels, but they're all over the country now.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a lot of little agents pop up that are working all over the country. I think we're going to see a spreading, like, you know, you're in Nashville now, Jamie.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's there. You know, we went there, 12, 13 years ago, Kate and that, and we were like the first ones from the alternative scene in that market, basically. And now you've got rap, you got rock, you got metal. I mean, I know metal people that are moving to Nashville.
Yeah.
Now it's getting a little more expensive, so they're going to split out, and you're going to go to Chattanooga, you're going to go to Asheville, and you can create music companies. And I think one thing COVID did do is show how we can work differently through Zoom and places like that. And I've known people that are in LA for a long time who have thought about moving to Knoxville or thought about Louisville, that, you know, this, and they're going, you know what, Kevin? I think, you know, I can get on a plane and come to LA if I have to for a month.
Yeah.
You know what? I might have a better lifestyle somewhere else because we can work by Zoom. We can work together. I mean, I haven't been able, other than working with Kate and Kat, other than by Zoom or phone calls for a couple months, and we're pulling off this major festival.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe I can go get that little house by the lake I've always been threatening to get, you know, and then run a few things from there for a while.
Yeah.
But I got a few more years of teaching.
I was going to ask if you were going to keep teaching. Yeah,
you know, I have another year at least, you know, and I'll see if I get invited back, you know. I hope I get, you know, if I get invited back, but this is I will be teaching for my third year going into this.
Yeah. I was on a Zoom call with Sophia, one of your students who lives in Brazil.
Oh yeah.
I was on cause she's connected to the panel that I'm on. And so I asked her what it was like having you as a professor, and she gave you great reviews. And she mentioned the availability. She said that people, back when hanging out was a thing, that people would love to hang out in your office.
Yeah, you know, it was like, I've never been a good scheduler. You know, it's like people would always try to schedule like coming under my tent. Like, can you meet up? Well, just come under there. We'll meet and hang out.
Totally.
And then people would gather. And I started realizing a lot of the students didn't know each other. So it's funny because people from our industry in LA would just drop by.
Sure.
I'd say, oh, I'll be there from 2:30 to 4:30. And some people from the industry would come by. And the next thing you know, there's like 4 students there. And maybe 3 of them hadn't met each other. And I'm saying, you guys have things in mind. And, you know, that was my office hours. Most professors are like, I'm here. You get a half hour. You get a half hour. You wait outside. He said, come crowded in. It got a little crowded at times. But I think that it's, you know, if you do something, you're all in on it. That's how it's been.
No, that's really cool. All right. We'll see what else we got here. Okay. So remember, you guys can submit a question. There's a question mark icon at the bottom. Let's see. You may have already addressed this a little bit, but what do you think concerts are going to look like moving forward? And is it going to continue to only happen online for a while?
Well, you know, they're doing some experiments in places like Arkansas and Missouri, I saw. They're opening a venue that's 1,100 seats, but they're only going to have 230 people in the venue. And they're all going to be in seats, and they're going to be separated with, you know, and I don't know for me if that would be an experience I would, but I think that we will be back. But I'm saying it's going to be when we have a vaccine for this, and we don't know, because there's, at our shows at least, I don't think you could ever force people to social distance. You know, and it's going to take time. I don't think it's the end of live music.
Sure.
It might be the end of large gatherings for a certain demographic, you know, that might feel uncomfortable going to large, but I think it's going to be a balance. I think we've opened a world for young artists to develop online and use these tools we're now using, that they may not have to go on the road all the time, or an artist maybe that does 200 shows a year could stay home and figure out how to make a little bit of extra money by doing things online. So they only have to be on the road 180 days a year, which goes into that mental health capacity of being on the road. You know, the road is lonely many times, and that's where trouble. So everyone's finding themselves more and more on the road. These new tools may allow you to be home sometime.
Yeah. I feel like even my friends that play music as a career, that have chosen to live in Nashville, that was part of their move here, was to feel like it was more central, that they could maybe have more space for their family. So it's interesting kind of how it relates.
The old country model, like you go to the Kroger parking lot on Thursday night, you get in the tour bus, you do shows Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you get home by 6 o'clock to take the kids to school. Yeah. That was the weekend warrior model. And country people didn't really used to go on the road for 2 months. Now some of them more go on those long tours. Sure. But it used to be you go out on weekends and you pivot out of Nashville, which was central to that whole Eastern Seaboard. You could do, you know, you could almost get out to Denver if you had to on a weekend.
Yeah. So switching back to 320 Festival this weekend, what are you excited about? What are you curious about?
I'm excited that so many people have come together. I'm curious that if we're going to be able to keep it going on time, like it's, you know, we've got it timed to the minute. It's running a serious program, so everyone's going to have to zoom in on time and have their gear working right and the links work up. So we are dependent on technology, and these guys are great at what they do. My faith is all in them. I think you're going to have some great conversations. I mean, we're kicking off with Johnny Boucher tomorrow morning. You know, he's always going to get people going. Yeah. He's a passionate guy. You know, and we're doing the Songs That Saved My Life concert that looks like it's about an hour and a half long on Saturday night, right after the last panel. We've got, you know, athletes. It's just a cool, you know, it's across the board. People go, wow, you're pretty diverse on the panels. And the panels were winnowed down from 30 ideas that Tolinda had, KLG had, my students had. We had this, it was working by committee, which was sometimes a little bit painful because I usually work by benign dictatorship. I was going to say, that's probably different. Yeah, it was totally different. So we worked through it though, and it showed how you can work together and come up and I think we've got a lot of bases covered. And, you know, I'm sure there'll be people that say that, you know, there's always going to be negative at the end. Someone's going to say something, but I think overall, everything's being done with the purity and for the right reasons.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I haven't met Talinda, and I wonder what. Obviously, so much of this is is just deeply personal. It relates to obviously her husband and the grief that she's been walking through, and I wonder what has it been like getting to know her and working with her.
It's been good. Sometimes, you have to recognize that and be cognizant of it, because sometimes your mindset you start going into, and there were certain things that we ran by her that she said, look, that's too close to home, for right now. But then some things she would think about and go, wait, no, that's important that we do that. She's very gracious lady. She's been, I think, in sometimes like, wow, this has all come together. I mean, even we had this when I said, let's take it online. At first, she hesitated. And then, the Kevin Lyman conversation that convinces you took place. And then we hung up, and she called me back in about 5 minutes, goes, let's do it. Let's go, so it's been great to get to know her, and work with her, and some of the conversations we've had while we've been talking to people about this. And it takes a lot of strength to go out and do what she's been doing, after the tragedy that befell some of the parts of her life. But she's got a lovely family now, and her children, and they're all there. And so I think this will be pretty, it'll be cathartic in some ways after all this is said and done.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. You got time for a couple more questions?
Sure.
Okay.
I got all kinds of time, Jamie. Now, I think I'm actually going on a walk at 2:30. We're starting to get to that point where we're kind of like, a friend of mine drops by. He's getting ready to move to Texas. He's decided that he's been in the music business. He's going to move down. He has some land in Austin. And we walk on the other side of the street and take a walk once a week. So got a little more time in my life. So that's good.
I dig that. So I don't know if you've talked about this. I know we haven't yet, but any plans to release a documentary on the final days of Warped Tour?
There's a lot of footage and things shot. I just don't know, Jamie. I don't know. That might be something down the road. It's not in the plans at this point.
Yeah. Have you been watching The Last Dance by chance?
I haven't had a chance. I want to watch it, though. It's weird. I thought this was going to be a time to catch up, like, on all this television.
Yeah.
And I started, we've been working so hard on this stuff. Sometimes you're working at 8 and 9 o'clock at night. And then, you read a little bit and fall asleep. Of course, everyone had to watch The Tiger King. I thought this was going to be my time to go backwards to like Sex and the City and start watching all the series I've missed in life,
Yeah.
But I hear that's The Last Dance is great. I think I'd like to maybe watch that, and maybe 5 years we'll do something. There'll be a lot of footage out there to comb through.
No, and I agree. I mean, obviously, there's a unique demand for Michael Jordan and that team, but I think it does also show that you don't have to be in a hurry to put that, to put that together or to release that, because it's been 25 years they sat on that footage, right? And now everyone's just amazed by it. So
yeah, I think you take something away and it becomes more important. Yeah. You go away, so maybe in 5 years there'll be that next generation of people that didn't get the chance to go, that we bring this to them, and maybe it'll inspire someone else to do something. I always say you're never going to duplicate Warp, but you can create the next thing.
Yeah.
And unique, and
So here's one. I think this relates to kind of the moment, like what we're used to and what we've had to give up for now, and then how people have pivoted and adjusted. What are Kevin's thoughts on how live music, the future of live music, plus sort of this interactive moment we're in now, could that kind of come together, do you think?
I think absolutely, Jamie. I think there's a lot of cool things out there. These companies like Veeps and Topeka Live, and these people that are kind of blending. And I think it's going to become a big part of artist development for a while. I think it's going to be hard for young bands to tour and young bands to develop, because when that market reopens up, there's going to be such a rush to go back on the road that there may not be space for these young bands for a while. So the managers right now, I know they got whacked upside the head. A lot of the agencies lost huge amounts of businesses. They lost all their tour, but the managers sat back and realized, they finally had a minute to think and said, wow, 65 to 70% of all income for our artists comes from live. And it went away in a day.
Yeah.
wait, maybe we should talk to those companies like Cameo and Veeps, and maybe those got people who are trying to get on our calendar while I was too busy to talk to them because I'm worried about my tours and everything. Those companies their phones are ringing off the hook.
Yeah.
And I only know because they're friends that their businesses, everyone's like, so maybe when it comes back, I think it's going to be a hybrid that these artists will use these tools at times and they'll go on the road at times. But I think for young artists, and I tell young managers, you should be exploring every one of these platforms right now, engaging in as much as you possibly can, because your ability to go back on the road is even going to be delayed more.
Yeah.
Because of the traffic and, of course, the finances of people. How much money will people have to go to live events? They're going to be very picky when we come back.
Sure. To kind of wrap this up, how can people tune in tomorrow? What time does it start?
Oh my gosh, I think it's starting at 8:30. I think in the morning. 8:30 in the morning. We're
West Coast.
West Coast time, and it goes till 5 p.m. each day, and then we'll have the concert afterwards on Saturday night. You can get information at 320festival.com. It's also going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on Facebook. So if you jump in 320 Festival on Facebook, you can link in there. If you have Roku or Apple TV, it'll be streamed on there. So you should be able to find it. It's free on Facebook and YouTube, of course. The whole event is free. Just look at a panel. The schedules are up right now. The artists are up. And I think while we're talking right now, we just put up the Songs That Saved My Life lineup, which includes people like Cassidy Pope and a bunch of really cool people jumping in and doing Elohim and songs for that.
Oh, that's awesome. So again, that is tomorrow, Friday, May 8th until Sunday, the 10th. My sister Jessica just shared the website. Well, Kevin, man, thank you for spending an hour with us. I know I was really psyched that you said yes on the day before. And then, just zooming out, I'm forever grateful on behalf of our team just for how generous and welcoming and just how kind you've always been to us. And, I don't even know if To Write Love on Our Arms would exist if not for Warped Tour and for you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jamie. And hopefully when we're all paroled, we'll get to see you face to face at some point.
Oh man, I would love to. I'd love to check out that garden.
Yeah, please do. I'll keep posting pictures. I'm gonna have so much. I keep putting I'm putting all the extra seedlings out in the front yard, so they disappear as fast as I put them out. So.
Oh, nice. Well, man, enjoy that walk, and can't wait to see how this weekend comes together.
Looking forward to seeing you on the panel.
Thank you, Kevin. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Oh, so that was Kevin Lyman. Thank you to him. So grateful to have him on for almost an hour. Again, 320festival.com. I am honored to be on a panel on Saturday. I think it's noon West Coast, 3 Eastern time is my panel. Social media in this age of anxiety. And as he said, you can find the whole schedule. There are so many different people, activists, artists, people who are mental health professionals, just an incredible lineup. And you can find that on their website, 320festival.com. You can follow them on Instagram. You can follow Kevin Lyman on his Instagram. And he's a legend in this music world and has changed a lot of people's lives. And that's true for me and really for us as an organization. And then just to circle back, Run For It 5K coming up a week from Saturday, May 16th. We are on our way to a goal of raising $85,000 that allows us to continue to deliver hope to people, to connect people to resources, and also to pay for professional help. So to connect people through scholarships to counseling and treatment. Your support allows us to do what we do. It allows our website to continue. It allows people to use our Find Help tool to be connected to local mental health resources. So on behalf of our team, we are grateful to all of our Run For It 5K participants, all of our fundraisers. And it's not too late to get involved. It's not too late to order a pack from our online store or to become a fundraiser or to support a fundraiser. So again, runforit5k.com. New podcasts are coming out every Tuesday. And also check out the Black and White collection. 3 new designs that you can find in our online store. And that is because of May, Mental Health Awareness Month. Jess, did I forget anything? Our team is good at chiming in on the comments. Is that everything we need to tell these good people? Well, I think we're going to leave it there. Thank you guys for spending this hour with us, with me. Once again, the hope is that you feel encouraged. The hope is that you feel connected, that you feel less alone. We know this is a really hard time for people all over the world. People are dealing with grief, anxiety, stress. We know that people are out of work. Life is exponentially harder for millions of people. And so this is a chance for us to come together and to remember we may not know what a year from now looks like or a month from now, but we can keep going one day at a time. If you need, Jess mentioned my dog is at the vet, so no barking and no funny couch appearance. She's okay. She's just getting a checkup. I'm excited to go pick her up after this. But what I was saying was we are in this together. If you need help, please reach out for help. We love our friends at Crisis Text Line. They're available 24 hours a day. The number is 741-741 here in the US. You can also connect with them in Ireland, the UK, and Canada. And use our Find Help tool. If you need to find a local counselor, if you are trying to find treatment or professional help for a friend somewhere else in the US, you can simply enter your zip code and instantly get a list of local mental health resources. That includes free and reduced rate services, also includes resources related to COVID-19. So that could be financial or food resources. So please spend some time, take advantage of that tool. And we're going to leave it here. Thank you for spending this hour with us, TWLOHA at home. We'll be back on Tuesday. I believe that is May 12th, Tuesday, May 12th. And we're going to have 2 great guests. We're going to have Carlos Whitaker, who is a good friend of mine who lives here in Nashville. And then Megalyn Etchikin-Woke, who lives in Los Angeles. She is a fabulous actress and a longtime supporter of the organization. So we'll be back Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern with Megalyn and Carlos, and we would love to see you then. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, have a good weekend, and we will see you soon. Take care.